Hello and welcome back, guys. In this section, I want to make use of the action, but let's check what our application does in the browser. Is there something it does? Everything is working fine. If I check in my console, we don't have any errors, so we are good to go here. Let's check for the localhost. There it is. Yeah, and I somehow messed up my desktops again. I want this to be next to the browser. So let's import the action we wrote into our component to make use of the action. Okay, this is what we want to achieve in this section. So to do so, I'm sorry, I need to go back here to my file. So what I did in the last section, I was writing this create animal function. I will intend it a little bit better. And what I want to do now is I want to make use of it. So what do I need? This component for now is pretty stupid. It doesn't know anything about this from the store. It doesn't know anything about other components. It just keeps its own state and shows its own state. But how do we expose this to Redux? To do so, we need to boilerplate, or we need to enhance our component. The first thing we want to do is we want to import the connect method from we want to import the connect method from React Redux. So this is the first part that we want to use. The second part that we want to use is we want to bind the action creators from Redux. We want to make use, we want to import the bind action creators of Redux. This is how we bind the dispatch inside the component to the action itself. So this comes from Redux. And what we also want is we want to import our action, the action itself. Let me see what is the name of the action again. I'm getting old, so it's create animal. So I go to AnimalAdd, and here in curly braces, because I haven't exported it as default. I think it should be create animal, and I want to import this from let's think one up, then inside actions, the actions folder, and here inside the index. So this is what I need to boilerplate to make somehow use of class begins here. So these are our imports. This is what comes from the npm packages to make React work. We are importing React. We are importing connect from React Redux, and we are also importing the bind action creators method from Redux. Also, we are importing our own written or our own create animal action. So what we want to achieve is I will write we want to use action create animal, and from this we want to pass this state, because this state is exactly, as you can see, it's pretty much the same as an animal here. So we want to pass this state to the create animal action. But how do I get can you remember how we bound our action to this console props? Let's check in the browser what props knows. Are there any errors? No, there are not. But the props, and to make it a little bit clearer, let's say this.props. Okay. And as you can see, the props is an empty object. There are no props here. So there are neither app passed any props, you know, the way how to do it. Let's say we pass any props down here as any props, yeah, as string any props. So I think this props should contain any props with any props, because I bound it from the parent component to the children. But this is not what we want to achieve. What we really want to achieve is that we want to make use of the method create animal. We want to bind this to the props. And can you remember how it worked? We didn't exist often, because it's like this is really the Reduxy, the Redux thing. For the first thing we want to do is a little bit boilerplate. We want to function. We write a function here. The name of the function comes from Redux. I'm sorry, and we want to match dispatch to props. I'm sorry, and we want to pass dispatch as an argument here, and then we are open the function body. Inside the function body, we want to return, and now we're making use of the bind action creator thing method, and there we pass an object, and here is how we bind our methods together. So to expose it inside my component, I'm having the left side. I will name it left side now, and on the right side is what I want to bind it to. So on the right side, I want it to bind to create animal. So the left side will be the name. Let's check what this brings. But before we are this far, let's see what this brings us. I think it could lead in no error. This props is still empty. The function is just ignored because it's never used. And now we need to make use of the function. And to do so, we don't want to export the component itself, because in this case it would be in the components folder. It would be just a component, but as we learned already, that's that we are exporting a connected method. So we are making use of the Redux connect method here, and as the second argument, or the second part of this connect method, we are providing here the add_animal component. The AnimalAdd component, I'm sorry. So this is the part that we have written here, but now we have this empty bracket, and as you could remember, we had something like map state to props and map dispatch to props. No, because we are not making use of the map state to props, we are now passing a null value, and then we are making use of the map dispatch to props method here. So let's see where this brings us. I think this should bring us to this props left side is bound to this. So what I did is I created a connected version of my component where I bound the actions to the props. So let's check it out. Is Jan telling the truth? Let's check it out. Yeah, correct. So here we have the left side, and the left side is now, as you can see here in the console, it's bound to the bind action creators. Let's check the scope. Can we actually see how? No, let's not dive too deep. But as you see, my wording is pretty bad here, because in terms of progression and teaching, I wanted to name this method left side, because everything I wanted to say is inside of this bind action creators here, the left side is what is bound to our props. So if I would say is bound to our props, it would be bound to our props, you know. So this, if I refresh now, sorry, if I'm refreshing, as you can see here, this is bound to a little typo, this is bound to our props. But in terms of readability and yeah, it should be wise to name it like create animal. So now I should have something like a method bound to my props that is named create animal. And now I can make use of the ES6 syntactic sugar, because if the key and the value is the same, I only need to write it once. Ah, no, I'm not doing this. You know, you could, let's comment it out. I want to create animal. Create animal in this terms is just a condensing of the key value pair just to this, because the key is exactly the value, so I only have to write it once. But to make sure that this is still working, let's check it out. Yeah, as you can see, I have now create animal here. So yeah, I will pause this section, the video very quick, and not to make it too long and avoid this render problems. And in the next section we will work on this, because this is what we really want to do. We want to make this use props. Yeah, but this is for the next section, okay? So I see you there.